Well, students, good evening to all of you. Today, we are going to discuss another important topic of research, inferential statistics. This is your section B part of paper 9 under the semester 3rd MEd class, right? Inferential statistics. So, to understand first the inferential statistics, first we understand about the what is a statistics. You know that statistics play an important role in the field of a research, right? And what is basically statistics? Statistics is concerned with developing and studying different methods for collecting, analyzing, and presenting the empirical data, right? This section we finished in semester 1 regarding the statistics, right? Here we have to discuss there are two types of statistics, right? One is descriptive statistics and one is inferential statistics, right, guys? You have to understand there are two types of statistics. One is descriptive and one is inferential, right? What is the difference between them? Descriptive statistics talks about the describing of the data, right? Descriptive statistics describes the data in the form of table, graphs, charts, pie charts, right? So just to see the data, suppose you are teaching in a school and you are the principal in the school, right? You know, and you have the strength of a 2000 students. You want to see the result in a graphical form. So then you use the descriptive data, right? Descriptive statistics, right? And we have also finished the descriptive statistics under semester first. If you remember, in the semester first, we talked about the charts, we talk about the graphics of the data, we talk about the mean, median, mode, we talk about the central tendency, right? But in this semester, we have to talk about the inferential statistics. And what is inferential statistics? Descriptive statistics is used to describe the data. Inferential statistics is used to draw the conclusions, right? So inferential statistics may you with the help of a statistical tool, you get the data, you draw the conclusions with the help of inferential statistics, right? So before going to the in-depth of inferential statistics, first we understand about population and sample, right? You are aware of population and sample. I discuss again. Population, basically what population is, your target group. This is called the population, right? So for example, so I take one example. With the example, I understand you whole of the things, right? For example, you want to check the computer knowledge of 7th class student of convent school across country, across India. This is your population, right? Okay, again, listen my question, listen my research question, my research topic, to check the computer knowledge, ICT knowledge of 7th class student of convent school across India, right? So this is my population across India. But remember guys, you do not collect the data from the population. You always collect the data from the sample, right? What you will do, because we know that 29 or 30 states in India, randomly with the help of any sampling method, you select some of the states, and under the states you select some of the districts, and randomly you select some of the convent schools and some of the 7th class of particular convent schools, right? You collect that data, right? And this is called the sample. And sample, what is the characteristics of a sample? Always remember, sample represents the whole population, right? I give you the latest example. You know that in a Punjab, elections are going on, UP elections are going on. You know, many television channels, they are giving their survey. Ana, Aaj Tak is giving a survey, ABP News is giving survey, GTV is giving a survey. So when they start the survey, for example, on 5th of month, and after 20 days, they give you the answer. These persons are interested in particular, या तो party, Congress party, AAP party, जो भी है, whatever the party, right? But do you think that within a 15 days, they have covered the data of an entire population of Punjab? Do you know how many voters in the Punjab? More than 2 CR, 2 crore person. Is it possible to collect the data from 2 crore person? They don't collect, because 2 crore is our population. We collect the data from the sample. So randomly they select, with the help of sampling, they select some of the district and they get the data from here. So sample kya cheez hai? Sample is a part of the population which is selectly randomly for the study. The sample should be selected such that it represents all the characteristics of the population, right? I hope the concept of a population and sample is clear to you, because you have already done in the semester 1. Okay. Here we discuss what are the types or categories of statistics. So I have already told you there are 2 types. One is descriptive and one is inferential statistics. So here we do in detail. In descriptive statistics, we use the central tendency, that is used to describe the data. Under the descriptive statistics, we use the central tendency, mean, median, mode, measure of dispersions like range, standard deviations, and variance. Okay, this thing you have to remember. Okay. And when we talk about the inferential statistics, which is in our syllabus in semester 3rd, in inferential statistics, it is about using data from sample and then making inferences. Inferences means conclusions, results. Then making inferences about the large population from which the sample is drawn. This is an important line, guys. Okay, you have to remember. Okay. Okay, I highlighted this. Okay. Right. What is inferential statistics? So first of all, inferential statistics is about using data from sample. Inferential statistics use the data from sample and then the making inferences about the large population. Select the data from sample and kya kar rahi hai? It is taking the data from the sample and jo result hai, whatever the result it is producing, that is representing the whole population, right? So it is about using data from sample, then making inferences about the large population from which the sample is drawn. Okay. So basically, there are 2 methodologies are used by the inferential statistics in order to inference the data, conclude the data. Okay. And the methodologies are hypothesis, tests, and analysis of variance. Analysis of variance is called ANOVA. It is in your syllabus, ANOVA in a capital form, right? So it is the full form is analysis of variance, right? So next here, little bit we do that. What is the difference between the descriptive statistics and the inferential statistics? Okay. So I think you have understood. Okay. So here there is some difference. You can note that it is descriptive statistics concerned with describing the target population. Inferential statistics make inferences from the sample and generalize them to the population. Descriptive statistics organize, analyze, and present the data in a meaningful manner. Inferential statistics compares, tests, and predicts future outcomes. Always remember, okay? When we see the, what is the, weather conditions of the tomorrow, okay, this is all about the inferential statistics with the help of inferential statistics. Okay, we see the weather in the mobile now. What would be the weather after 4 days, right? So how it is possible means what is the current weather, okay, by using the statistical data, inferential statistics, right? like p-test, z-test, chi-square test, Mann-Whitney test, we will discuss, okay, again. So by using the statistical data, it predicts the weather, what would be the weather after the 4 days, right? This is a power of the inferential statistics, right? Third is, final results are shown in the form of a charts, tables, and graphs under the descriptive, right? But when we talk about inferential statistics, final result is the probability scores. Probability, it is a probability. When we have to start our journey, we see after the 3 days, there is a sunlight. Okay, and what happens when we reach on that place? There is a cloudy. You see the cloudy weather, you see the rain over there. So it is all about the probability, right? But up to 95% results are correct, right? So this is all about the probability, but probability, saves our time. Probability, we with the help of this probability, we come to know that now the time, earthquake in, beforehand, sometimes, where the problems are going to occur, we come to know that, and we can, save those lives, in fact, right? So these are very, applications of inferential statistics. Number 4, under descriptive statistics, we describe the data which is already known. But inferential statistics, we tries to make conclusions about the population that is beyond the data available. Okay. For example, now we never know which party would come in Punjab. But with the help of a inferential statistics, if you are a good researcher, okay, and you are using the good tool, so up to 95%, you can claim that by collecting the data, this party would come, right? 5th, descriptive statistics, tools, measures of a central tendencies only, right? Means under the descriptive statistics, we talk about measure of central tendency, mean, median, mode, and spread of data. Isko bol dete hain measure of dispersion. Okay, it comes under range, standard deviation, right? But under the inferential statistics, we use the tools hypothesis test and analysis of variance, means ANOVA. Okay, we discuss further in detail, right? So this is all about difference between descriptive and inferential statistics. Okay, here there is a one subtopic we discuss here. What is sampling error in inferential statistics, right? Sometimes now what happens, error comes, so this is called due to the sampling errors. Okay, we should know that. Since the size of the sample is always smaller than the size of population. Understood now? First line. Just focus on the first line. Since the size of the sample is always smaller than the size of population. Right? Take the example which I discussed, okay, in when I started the lecture. You want to check the knowledge of computer of 7th class student of convent school across country, right? But you don't collect the data of the population, you collect the data of a sample. So sample is always small. Some of the population is not captured by the sample data. This creates a sampling error, right? Which is the difference between the true population and the measured sample values. Sampling error arises anytime when you use a sample, even if your sample is random and unbiased, right? For this reason, there is always some uncertainty in inferential statistics. However, using probability sampling method, you can reduce this uncertainty. Sometimes what happens, that's why now I tell you directly, the answer is that whenever you have to do the research, always tries to collect large sample. Okay, don't go for the small sample. When you go for the large sample, then there is a less chances of the sampling errors, right? Sampling errors creates a problem for your research. Okay, it can change the results of your research, right? Now we discuss about the hypothesis testing. right? Which is a tool of the inferential statistics, right? What is a hypothesis testing? Hypothesis testing is a formal process of statistical analysis using inferential statistics. The goal of hypothesis testing is to compare population or assess relationship between variables using samples. Right, guys? I think you have cleared about the hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? Hypothesis kya hota hai? What is a hypothesis? Hypothesis means any supposition, any statement, okay, which we define during our research, when we select our research question. So then there is a need to define the hypothesis and we work on that hypothesis. Okay. Hypotheses or predictions are tested using statistical test. Statistical tests also estimate sampling errors so that valid inferences can be made. Statistical test can be parametric or non-parametric. Yes, right. This is important, right? Statistical tests are the parametric and non-parametric tests. Okay, here you have to understand parametric tests are considered more statistically powerful because they are the more likely to detect an effect in one exist. Okay, so what are the parametric tests? These are the three things of the parametric test which you have to remember. This is the most important. Parametric test make assumptions that include the following. Right here we are talking about the parametric and non-parametric. Parametric test, under the parametric test, first assumption is that the population that the sample comes from follows a normal distribution of scores. Right. Second is the sample size is large enough to represent the population. Third is the variance, measure of spread of each group being compared are similar. Right. In a simple way, I just clear you. Okay, take that example. Okay, with the help of example, you will come to know easily. Okay, what was our example? We want to see the computer knowledge of a 7th class convent school student across the country. Right? Now, what we have to do, our next step is, first we have defined the problem. The second step is, that, what is the second step? To, formulate the hypothesis or collect the data. Right? For collecting the data, we always collect the data from the sample, right? So parametric test says that, okay, first line, the population that the sample comes from follows a normal distribution of scores. Means whether you have collected the sample normally or not. Normally means with honesty, honestly, you have gone to all the schools which you have selected to collect the data. Okay, then your data, yeah, there is a normal distribution of scores. Okay. Second, the sample size is large enough to represent the population. Parametric test again says that your sample size is large enough. It should be large. And variance, measure of spread, each group being compared are similar. Okay, these are the parameters. Okay, so when your data violates any of these assumptions, for example, it never happens. Okay, because there are lot of convent schools in the country. Okay, you have selected some of the sample, but you couldn't reach that sample. By mistake, you have collected some of the vague data. Okay, you couldn't reach over there. Okay, so then what will happen? Then you cannot say that your whole of the research, your time, your money has go in waste. So on that case, non-parametric tests are useful. Okay, so okay, now read this line. When your data violates any of above assumptions, then non-parametric tests are more suitable. What are the non-parametric tests? Non-parametric tests are called distribution-free test because they do not assume anything about the distribution of the population data. right? Distribution free test means, guys, you don't collect the data normally. Okay, whatever you have selected, sometimes there is a, above all the three things you don't follow, which is under parametric assumption. So then you use the non-parametric, right? Statistical test come in the three form. Now we discuss, there are three forms of the statistical test. कौन से हैं? First is comparison, second is correlation, third is regression. Okay, what we are discussing, the statistical test that are coming under inferential statistics. Okay, right? And under the inferential statistics, we are talking about parametric test and non-parametric test in a simple language, right? So under the statistical test, because in a descriptive statistics, there are two types of statistics now. One is descriptive and one is inferential. Under a descriptive statistics, we talk about the charts, graphs, pie charts, bar diagram, and etc. But under the inferential statistics, we talk about comparison, correlations, regressions. Okay, and later on we will come to know, by finishing all things, comparison, correlations, and regression, we'll come to know what are the parametric test and what are the non-parametric, right? So first is comparison test. Comparison test assess whether there are differences, mean, median, or ranking of the score of two or more group, right? So always you have to remember, okay, what are the comparison tests? This is the important line. Comparison tests are two types of a comparison test. One is t-test and one is ANOVA. Okay, you have to remember this thing. Okay, when you will come to know this thing, now you will come to know the meaning of that. Okay, what you have to write over there. Okay, t-test and ANOVA, just learn here. T-test and ANOVA are called the comparison test. Okay, under the statistical test. Okay, under the statistical test, we are talking about comparison, correlations, and regression. Okay, under a comparison test, there are two types of a test, t-test and ANOVA, right? You should know the function of a t-test and function of ANOVA also. Okay, what t-test does? Up, don't worry, just understand and listen. Okay, later on I'll revise that so that concept would be clear to you. Okay, what the t-test does? T-test is used for means of two sample is being compared. T-test is used to compare the two samples. For example, right? You want to see the result of the 7th class student. Suppose there is a one school in Ludhiana, okay, convent school, and another convent school is in Bathinda, right? So you want to see the result of a 7th class of Ludhiana school and Bathinda school. Okay, there would be a two sample, na? Not, it would be a one sample because schools are same. When you compare the 7th class result of convent school with the CBSE school or with the Punjab School Education Board, 7th class students of CBSE board, then there are two samples. Okay, when you want to compare, you want to see that when which school is better, which result is better, 7th class result of convent school, which is a ICSE board, and 7th class result of the CBSE board, right? Which is better? So then in that case, you use the t-test. Always remember. Okay, when there are more than 3 cases, then you use the ANOVA. ANOVA means analysis of variance. Okay, it means of a 3+ sample is being compared, right? So you have come to know about the t-test and ANOVA. Okay, that comes under comparison test. Okay, so next we discuss about the correlation test. So we come directly from here. What are the correlation tests? Okay, correlation means to correlate between the two things. One is Pearson S or Spearman S and chi-square test of independence. Okay, so sometime comparisons ke liye we use these tests also. Okay, then we talk about the regression test. What are the regression tests? So we directly come here. The name of regression test are simple linear regression and multiple linear regression. Okay, but what is the meaning of a regression? Where we use this regression test. So just you have to understand, when we see the effect of one variable on the other, then we use the regression test. Okay, right. Now whatever we have discussed here, now we discuss here in detail. Okay, so be attentive from here. So next heading, we are discussing parametric and non-parametric test, and this is the important, you have to do that. Definitely these questions will come, okay, from the section B. Okay, sometime questions comes, define the parametric and non-parametric test. What are the advantages and disadvantages of that? Okay, then you have to define the parametric and non-parametric test, and advantages, disadvantages, merits, demerits, and again you have to define the some examples of the parametric and non-parametric test, right? For example, we just discussed t-test, we just discussed ANOVA, Pearson's. These are called parametric tests. Non-parametric we will discuss further. Okay, first, what is parametric test? Parametric tests are those tests that make assumptions about the parameters of the population distribution from which the sample is drawn. Right? Parameter, as the name suggests, parameter. Okay, then again come back to that example. We just want to see the computer knowledge of a 7th class student of convent school across the country, right? So the parameter of our population is India, है ना? So when we make assumption about the parameters of the population distribution from which the sample is drawn, so these are called the parametric test. Okay, this is often assumption that the population data are normally distributed. Non-parametric tests are distribution free and as such can be used for non-normal variables. Okay, here we discuss. First, we have come to know what are the parametric tests. Parametric tests are those tests which make assumptions about the parameters of the population distribution from which the sample is drawn. Right? What are the assumptions and applications of parametric tests? Guys, focus on this. You have to write in a same way. Okay, here you cannot change. Okay, what are the assumptions and applications of parametric test? Number one, mainly used for a quantitative data. Okay, so always remember, in the case of a quantitative data, we use the parametric test. Clear? Second, for continuous variables. Third, when data measures on an approximate interval, here data follows a normal distribution. This is again important. When our sample which we have collected, it is a normally distributed, means bell-shaped curve aati hai. You know, bell-shaped curve. It is a normally distributed. So then we use the parametric test. And what are the examples of parametric test? Yeah, what are the types of parametric test? So you have to remember t-test, ANOVA, Pearson coefficient of correlation, and z-test are the examples of the parametric test. Okay, so these are the examples of the parametric test. Okay, so here I just want to tell, okay, we go little bit back. Okay, we have covered one topic. What are the steps involved in the research? Okay, do you know what are the steps? 7 steps. I have told you many times. Whenever you have to do, these 7 steps are the important. What are the 7 steps of any of the research? Number one is selecting and defining the topic, research topic. Okay. Second step is review of collecting the data, review of related literature, right? In the first step, you have defined your topic. In the number second, you have collected the data, reviews. The third step is formulation of hypothesis. You make the hypothesis, right? And number fourth is, with the help of a data collections tools, now you collect the data. So this fourth step basically we are discussing, right? If when we select why, PhD persons takes a lot of time. Sometimes you have seen that PhD is a 2.5 years and 3 years, but you have seen that, okay, many persons, they uh, give the time of 8 year, 10 year, 12 year. Why? Because of that, they have the lack of RM knowledge. RM means research methodology knowledge, right? For example, they have selected a topic and by mistake, they have used the another statistical tool for that purpose. So this is the reason now UGC, do you know that PhD that comes under the UGC, है ना? UGC recognized courses, you know that. UGC now from last 2 years, I think from last 3 years, 3-4 years back, I think it is since 2015, UGC has done the mandatory coursework for those who wants to do the PhD. So earlier kya tha, before the 2015, you can directly take the admissions of a PhD. But after the 2015, whenever you have to start the PhD, you have to go 6-month coursework under any of the university, right? Regular. What is the purpose of that? Because in a 6 month, you will come to know about the RM, research methodology. This is all about the research methodology. So that when you come to know about the research methodology, then you can finish your research, your PhD within a 2.5 years and 3 years. So what happens in the previous years, students take a lot of time because of the lack of knowledge of the RM. So types of parametric methods, parametric tests are t-test, ANOVA, Pearson correlations, coefficient of a correlation, and z-test. We should have knowledge of these parametric tests, right? Which comes under inferential statistics, right? Under inferential statistics, statistical tests come. And what are the statistical tests? Parametric test and non-parametric test. What are the parametric tests? T-test, ANOVA, Pearson, or Z-test. Okay, now we discuss what is the function of these all four. Okay. Otherwise, in a simple term, I explain to you. T-test we have just done. T-test is used to compare the compare the two samples mean. Okay, get the two samples mean. ANOVA 3+ samples. Okay, ye just now we discuss here means of a 2 samples, right? T-test. ANOVA means of a 3 sample. Means, I'm talking about the means. Okay, so you have to remember mean kya cheez hota hai. If there are 100 students in a 7th class, if they have got the 60% marks, तो वो 60% हमारा result हुआ या 80% हुआ. Means, I'm talking here about means. So t-test, okay, even if you want to go in detail, so I have given here about the in detail ye t-test here, types of a parametric test, t-test, right? You have to write over there. T-test is used to when comparing the difference in means between two groups. Okay, in details you can come to know that. Students use the t-test when comparing the difference in means between two groups. The data obtained from the two groups may be paired or unpaired. A paired t-test is when we are interested in finding the difference between two variables for the same subject. On the other hand, an unpaired t-test compares the difference in means of a two independent groups. T-test, Pearson product movement correlations method we have just covered. When we see the correlations between the two variables, then we use the Pearson product movement correlation method. Okay, so it all depends on our research. What is our research topic basically? Now, what we have selected the topic first. Okay, if our topic is, suppose if our topic is we want to study the teachings of Lord Jesus. So here तो कोई इतना comparisons है ही नहीं है. So we don't use this kind of a test. Right? So if our topic is that, there is a comparison, our topic is that we want to see that working of ICSE school with CBSE school, we are doing the comparison. So then we will go here, we will come here to use that test, right? And when we see the effect of particular one variable on the second variable, then we use the regression method, right? And ANOVA we have already done. Okay, ANOVA is for the 3+ sample means, right? Z test. Z test kya cheez hai? Fourth thing is that there is, not a big difference between a T test and Z test. T test only used when the sample is small. Okay, when the sample is greater than 30, so then we use the Z test. Only difference is that. Okay, so I have written the difference here. Okay, ye dekhiye, I have given the difference here. N matlab number of cases. If number of cases, if samples are greater than 30, so then you use the Z test. Ana, sometimes kya ho gaya, what happens? Suppose your research topic is comparison between the two things. Okay, and you collected the data and your sample is for example 200 sample, you use the T test. Again your result will come wrong, because statistical inferential statistics parametric test says that if your sample comes more than 30, then you have to switch to the Z test. Okay, so this is all about the above the parametric test. Okay, now we discuss about the non-parametric test. What are the non-parametric tests? Okay, so non-parametric tests are the experiments that do not require the underlying populations for assumption. It does not rely on any data referring to any particular parametric group of probability distribution. Non-parametric method, also called the distribution free test, since they don't have any underlying population. Right? In a simple term, I just want to explain you in a in a simple language, in a simple method, with the help of one example. For example, you want to take the survey. Your research topic is that you want to take the survey of which party is coming in the Punjab or UP, right? But you didn't use particular standard, okay, of RM, research methodology. Okay, means by mistake what happened, you didn't design, okay, how you have to go, which method you have to select. Okay, but unfortunately sometimes what happened, you have collected the you have gone into the wrong way. Okay, your results are not coming up to the mark. Okay, whatever the data you have collected. On that case, right, you take use of help of non-parametric test. Okay, so under a non-parametric test, one thing you have to remember, distribution free means your data is not normally okay. Okay, when you collect the data which is not normal. For example, take the one example, you want to your research topic is awareness of rights of women in the village, right? Do you know that up to which age persons can go for polling the vote? More than 18, na? Hana? Your target persons are more than 18. You had to select the data from the above 18 persons, but sometimes you select the data below and others. Okay, on that case, research is saying that with the help of a non-parametric method, okay, you can go further, right? This is called the your data is normally distributed or not distributed, right? Again, non-parametric tests are the mathematically methods used in statistical hypothesis testing, which do not make assumption about the frequency distribution variable that are to be evaluated. A non-parametric experiment is used when there is a skewed data. Yes, now thing has clear to you. Skewed ka matlab kya hua? Variation in the data. When there is a skewed in the data, when there is a variation in the data, when your data is not normal, on that case you use the non-parametric tests, right? And examples of non-parametric tests, just see. Okay, you should know the names of that, and You have to explain even. Okay. What are the examples of the non-parametric test? One sample Wilcoxon signed rank test, Kruskal Wallis test, Mann Whitney test. Okay. These are the examples of the non-parametric test. Okay. Again, there is a one topic difference between parametric and non-parametric. On there, I have elaborated. Okay, you will come to know from there also. But here we do the characteristics or features of the non-parametric test. Okay. So number one, they do not suppose any particular distribution and consequential assumptions. Non-parametric tests rather quick and easy to use. They do not require laborious computation, since in many cases the observations are replaced by their rank order, and in many others we simply use signs. Right? So you can read this. These are the all features of this. Examples of non-parametric test already written. Now we discuss what is the difference between parametric test and non-parametric test. Okay. Now we are going to conclude our topic. Okay. The difference between parametric and non-parametric tests are: parametric tests mainly focus on difference between the mean. Many stringent or numerous assumptions about parameters are made. In parametric test, data changes from score to signs. Here the variance must be same for the population. The parametric test process mainly depends upon assumptions related to the shape of the normal distributions in underlying population and about the parameters form of assumed distribution. Non-parametric tests mainly focus on the difference between the medians. Right? These things you have to learn and you have to write, guys. If you learn this is also important. This is something is tedious, and just you have to remember. Okay. Suppose, for example, in the case of a parametric, when you are using the Z test or T test, we know that T test is used for the comparison. Z test is also used for the comparison, but for the data more than more than 30, if the sample data comes from n comes from more than 30. So in that case, when you come to know that your data is not normal, there is a skewness in your data, there is a variation in your data. Okay, so then you use the non-parametric test. Instead of this, you use this test. Okay, instead of a two-way ANOVA, you use Friedman test. Okay, if you are using a one-way ANOVA under a parametric situation, but your data is not correct, there is a variation in your data, there is a skewness in your data, there is a dispersion in your data, you use the Kruskal-Wallis test. Okay, if independent sample T test, you use the Mann-Whitney test. Okay, so guys, there is a one software, SPSS software. Okay, so on that software, these all tests are given. Okay, you just have to, when you collect the data, you interpret the result. Research data you have collected, and now the step is you have to interpret the data. How you have to interpret the data? You will interpret the data SPSS. It is in your syllabus. You can read your syllabus little bit about the SPSS. So all these things are given over there. Okay, so you just have to punch your data, and you want to comparison, you have to put the command, you will get the comparison. If you want the reliability, validity of your data, you just have to punch your data, and by going into the menu, you click over reliability. So then you will get the result. But you should have a good base of the RM, research methodology. Okay, which method you have to apply over there. Okay, which whether you have to apply parametric or non-parametric, right? This is the reason this research, MEd research, is called the mini PhD, right? So here I have given one or two questions. Summary: में non-parametric tests are valid for both non-normally distributed and normally distributed data, and why not use them all the time? Okay, because there is a risk, okay, in the non-parametric data, so that's why we don't use. Why parametric tests are powerful than the non-parametric tests? Okay, why parametric tests are powerful than the non-parametric tests? Why? Because generally parametric tests are considered more powerful than non-parametric tests they require a smaller sample size than non-parametric test. But parametric tests are also 95% as powerful as parametric test. It comes to a highlighting the peculiarities or weirdness of a normal population. If you doubt the data distribution, it will help you review previous studies about the particular variable you are interested in. Right, guys? So, guys, actually now there is a lot of type of a research. Okay, suppose if you want to do the micro level research, so obviously, okay, you use the parametric test. When you know that your research is on the large level, okay, on the nation level, on the international level, how you can say that you will collect the data which is a normally distributed? How you can collect the pure data? It is not feasible to go different countries. Otherwise, so whole of the life you will you will waste in your research purposes, right? So sometimes you get the vague data, you get the not data which is not normal. But research says that we have another tool which is called the non-parametric tool. With the help of a non-parametric tool, we can also predict that what will be the result of that, right, guys? So this is all about your parametric and non-parametric, right? Thank you so much, guys.